are back here at Saluki Stadium. Southern Illinois gets the win 35-28 over the Incarnate Word Cardinals. Coach Hill now joins us from his office. His comments are brought to you by CMC Mitchell. CMC Mitchell and Associates, proud supporters of Saluki Athletics. Coach, appreciate the time. First and foremost, man, it was far from easy. A tremendous first half to start off this game, but man, your team found a way to close out what was a team win here tonight at Saluki Stadium.
Yeah, I mean, we said that last week that you're not going to take winning for granted, and I kind of felt that. That's what I told the team. You kind of, felt like we got to get excited about winning. Like you mentioned, it's the first time a top 15 matchup at home in non-conference, and to come away with a winner. Obviously, I think the competitiveness in us, we want to be able to close that game out and a better fashion of putting up points in the second half. We moved the ball. I don't know how many total yards we have, but it had to have been a ton. And, just not coming away with points. Same thing as last week, 3 trips down there, missing a field goal, having a touchdown called off the board, which I don't know if that should be called, but it was called. And then on a hold on DJ's, really unbelievable play. And then not getting it on fourth down there at the end in the red zone. And so, but, I mean, it was such a long game and so many plays, so many guys we played our tails off. And I don't think there's any way. I think you'll look up and you'll see Incarnate Word scores this year, and they're going to be in the high 40s, 50s, 60s with some points being scored. That's a heck of an offense with some elite skill and an elite quarterback that I hope Saluki fans understand. He started at Texas A&M. That guy has lined up and beat Alabama. He was as advertised. We started to make it tough for him and getting him off the spot, and I felt like that last drive, just the intensity of our defense, to get them in some bad down and distances. That game was not over, and for our defense to come up with a stop, just a great way to win the game.
Hey, Nick, Mike Trude. Guys were dropping like flies. It was as physical a game as we have seen in a long time, at least from our vantage point up here, and Coach Poore down on the field. Your depth showed through tonight in every phase of your defense and your offense. You were down to true freshmen playing on offense. You had your 3 redshirt freshmen on the line at one time. You had 3 or 4 substitutions in your linebackers in your defensive backfield. Boy, that next up mentality really shone through tonight.
Yeah, going down the line, with freshman offensive linemen, freshman backs, Hunter having to come in and basically play the fourth quarter, which we feel good with Hunter. Obviously, we've talked about feeling good about too, but when you sit there for 3 hours and then get thrown in, and it wasn't like just mop-up duty. We needed to make some throws. He pulled the ball down. Even some of those drives that we were able to pick up a couple first downs there and chew some clock, and then Paul came up big with a couple punts. So I think that's the one thing that I've learned over the years is just in recruiting and developing your depth, because with our schedule, you get into week 7, week 8, week 9 in this league. I don't know if people have looked at, that that's the 12th ranked team, but I think we play 4 teams that are ranked higher than them.
Yeah.
And there's no excuses. So that's that's the 12 months of just having a program that's developing depth. And when they get their opportunity to go in there, the level of play can't drop. And I think a lot of guys were able to prove themselves tonight.
You talked about getting Calzado off maybe a little bit off kilter. And on that last drive, the 2 intentional grounding calls, the pressure seemed to be coming from a different place than it was earlier in the ball game. Was something changed up on those 2 plays?
We got into a couple different personnel groupings there at the end. You saw us just line up 2 D linemen and rushing. But honestly, I think that everybody was just tired. That's what I told them at the end of or in the locker room. I thought Lewis Wilbert and Jamond, started to win on those edges. Their tackles, when we looked over there at the timeout, was on a knee, and he was gasping for air. And so we were able to get the edge a little bit to get him off his spot. And then when we do that, then with our linebacker spying, we're able to trigger, and then you got to say a lot for the guys downfield, not giving them a place to go. I mean, we got him off his spot, but he made some incredible scramble drill throws tonight on the sideline. They dropped a few. The 2 scramble drills for touchdowns. Heck, the first touchdown pass in the red zone, that's a high-level throw. I mean, he's a high-level player, and he put it on tonight. And for us to go out and get a victory to protect our home turf, we'll get back to work tomorrow knowing that we've still got a lot to get better at, and we will. But we'll enjoy this one tonight.
Yeah, Coach, there was a lot of eyes on this game from an FCS standpoint, and I called it a cultural win. You needed everybody on that sideline and every piece of depth that you had. And I was so impressed with how hard we played physically, just in effort and tackling, taking away the screen game, and then really did a good job, I thought, also of getting eyes on receivers on those scrambles and mugging people up, because that's where Calzano was just off the charts, man. He made some unbelievable throws.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that means a lot. I mean, as far as just you build a culture of winning, straining. My message to him last night and then today in our pregame talk was just about a competitive spirit and a relentless pursuit of playing with a lot of emotion, but not playing emotional. And I felt like we did that. I felt like, it means a lot to me, what the Saluki fans, not the X's and O's and all of that. People can talk about those. But I'm just talking about when they leave Saluki Stadium, it's like that team is competitive as crap. They compete. They play with an edge. They play relentless. And that's the messaging that's been consistent since the beginning of training camp. And I feel like people leaving tonight was like, there's a lot of guys that Coach Poor, you're looking for those guys that just have a motor, that don't quit, that are straining to the football. And we were able to close out a game tonight because we have a lot of those guys on our team.
And I felt like, too, you've been through these. I never felt like from the field that we ever got tight and truly felt that pressure. We continued to play loose and just do what we're supposed to do, and that says a lot to, again, the culture of the program, just the belief in the systems, defensively, offensively. Doesn't matter who's in there, next guy up mentality.
Yeah, and I knew at halftime. I mean, we needed to score a few more times to make that game, and those things were going down there in the third quarter, and we weren't coming away with points. Obviously I didn't feel good until, honestly, that last snap of us taking the victory formation. We're backed up there at the 8-yard line, until that. I knew how quickly these guys can score. I mean, everybody knows how good South Dakota State's been good on defense and playing on the road. I mean, this kid was 31 of 39 for almost 400 yards last week, 3 touchdowns, no picks against SDSU, the #1 team in the country. So they can score in a hurry. It doesn't matter what your lead is. If you keep giving them shots, they're going to score points.
The other side of it, Coach Hill, you talked about guys playing with an edge. And, look, it was a team. No question, your team played with an edge. But there just seemed to be just a different edge with DJ Williams tonight, especially him in that offense in that first half. I think 2 incompletions is what he had the whole first half. I mean, K. Lou with some big runs. You obviously had Hezekiah in there too. Just speak to the tone that your offense really set tonight from the start.
Yeah, I mean, the first half offensive performance was, what you want it to look like. And we've talked about it. I've said that. You've seen them at practice. I feel like, 1 and 11 are a couple guys that we've not had here. They can be pretty special. I mean, K. Lou might be the fastest guy that we've had in the program in my 11 years, and I think on that reverse, everybody kind of got to see how fast he is when he puts his foot in the ground and goes. And so we knew those guys needed to have big nights. I thought DJ, from last week coming back and responding, making some just big-time throws in that first half. And, I mean, an incredible effort on the touchdown run in the second half. I mean, Coach Ford, and look, I mean, that was a screen pass that they gobbled up, and you house a screen for a 50-yard touchdown run. I mean, that's when, that's all him. That's not coaching. And so I felt like his effort was big. Obviously, he dislocated his finger, had to get x-rays. I don't know if it's broken or not, which is tough, right there to do that. And you feel good about having Hunter Simmons ready to roll.
Coach, it's one of those things, and we'll get you out of here on the snow. We appreciate the time. It's unfair for me to ask you this question right now because you never really know until probably the day after a game where you can get in the athletic training room and really see your guys, or at least just your initial thoughts on just all the different guys that were able to leave. Do you feel somewhat positive that you think you can get most of those guys back, or is it probably what I think the answer is, which is, Luke, we'll get back to you come Monday?
Yeah, no, the majority of those things were cramps. I mean, Steed was cramping at the end over on the sideline. Bogle went down, but then he got back. He wanted to come back in the game.
Shock.
And then I think Tay pulled his hamstring on the on the kickoff. I'm trying to think of all the different guys that went down. I don't know, Jake, the offensive line.
Yeah, Jake.
We've got to, get in there and see. And that's what I challenged them with. I mean, because next Saturday will be a battle just like this. And it's really up and down the whole schedule. So we just have to have our blinders on and keep it one game at a time, that know, like, every Saturday is going to be an effort that has to be had like this to win. And so we've got to do a good job as coaches of understanding that when we can push them, when we've got to get our guys healthy to ready to go to play fast on Saturdays.
Coach, as you said, and as we have said all the time, you never apologize for winning, and this was a really big win for you and your team, setting up, as you said, for our gauntlet that's just going to continue. Coach, appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Congrats, Coacher.
All right, appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
That was head coach Nick Hill. Join us from his office. His postgame comments are brought to you by Sam C. Mitchell Law, Lance Brown, and Matthew Caraway, cheering and fighting for Southern Illinois.